farming or the traditional coastal trade of fishing, for instance. Just a distance from the fishing shores of local towns and villages, some Gambians are harvesting produce from fields cultivated through President Jammeh's inspiration, whilst others prepare eagerly for another farming season. It is an ecstatic drama provoked by visionary leadership that was able to see what many elsewhere in the world had failed to see.
All the funds that are used to sponsor people is from this farm. So, well, the name is, it is the President's Farm, but the benefit spread all over the world. From here up to Indonesia, during the time they had the tsunamis, we extended assistance to them.
Jammeh has always been a leading advocate of massive agricultural production to ward off hunger and poverty in societies and ensure sustainable employment for the teeming mass of young people everywhere.
Agriculture is the first industry, and certainly it is here to stay, as long as humanity is in this world.
And the whole world has now recognized the need to rise to that noble call by Jammeh, the farmer president.
Their farms attacked, their crops destroyed. The farmers are just a small part of a larger battle, a battle of man against nature. And to the despair of many, the farmers are winning. Mount Kenya, the second largest mountain in Africa. It is an island of forests surrounded by densely populated small farming areas. In 1997, UNESCO designated it as a World Heritage Site. It's one of the most impressive landscapes in East Africa. Its peak rises to more than 5,000 meters and is surrounded by Afro-alpine moorlands, bordering 2,000 square kilometers of indigenous forest, a home to many unique species of plants and animals. The region provides a vital water catchment area to a largely arid country. The preservation of Mount Kenya's water resources is critical for the country as a whole, but it is under threat. Local people are desperate for forest resources. Large areas of pristine forest are now cleared for illegal farming, logging, and marijuana cultivation. Mount Kenya illustrates the difficulty of balancing short-term economic gains with long-term economic benefits, a sacrifice the country cannot afford. The logging of hardwood trees, such as camphor, is the main threat to maintaining the forest cover. In the past few years, tens of thousands of trees have been cut down. Together with the Forest Department, the Kenya Wildlife Service is responsible for enforcing the ban. It's an uphill struggle. Charles Kenyingi and Thumbi Masengi are two patrol guards who worked with the Kenya Wildlife Service for 20 years. We would later see them in action, but first they took us through the dense forest to a site where a large camphor tree had been cut down. Camphors are hardwood trees. They take hundreds of years to grow. A recent aerial survey undertaken by the Kenya Wildlife Service and United Nations Environment Program found extensive damage to the forest. As a result, a new ban was placed in December 1999.
This is the site that we got an incident of shooting one of the loggers, because when he was told, he was ordered by the rangers to surrender the power, so he ignored the orders, and he intended to cut down our rangers he became very aggressive and he ignored the orders. That he was shot down and he was shot on his right leg. Now he is having 1.5 leg.
It's very risky because loggers, they do have power. So if you find them cutting trees, canvas, they try how he can cut you. Then he surround you along the trees to cut you. That is the reason why sometimes we shoot them to their leg.
Bongo Woodley is the chief warden of Mount Kenya National Park. He patrols from the air. Mount Kenya is home to him. But in his 10 years as a warden, he's seen the forest deteriorate drastically.
It's actually quite horrendous. The sheer extent of it is alarming. Each time I fly over that damaged forest, it fair takes my breath away.
Year by year, up to 13.5 million hectare forest are disappearing. And if you see the internal structure, it is even worse. We have an increase of forests in the developed countries, and we have even a higher decrease in the developing countries. In those forests which are the richest with biodiversity, which are the most important for stabilizing the soil, for stabilizing the precondition for water.
Patrolling the forest, Charles becomes suspicious that loggers might be around.
Here seems there's two types of vehicles. There's a tractor and there's a big lorry here.
They've heard the sound of a chainsaw. They find 5 men chopping trees and loading a tractor.
I think they cut down about 30 pieces of white olive. Which they are just saying it is on fire.
Do you believe them?
No, I don't believe them. But although they are just saying that they have got the right from the manager, but we have to confirm from the manager first before we take them to the police station.
It turns out the men were collecting firewood for a local hotel and do have a license.
Firewood collection is difficult to monitor in the sense that there aren't enough staff to actually monitor, but quite often the firewood collection permits are also very easy to forge, and even where they've not been forged, it's difficult because they don't prescribe how many times somebody should collect the firewood, say in a week or in a month or any period of time.
The Kenya Wildlife Service works with Kenya's Forest Department patrolling the forest. But the forest officers suffer from a drastic lack of resources and manpower. Today, they were lucky. They managed to arrest 2 loggers.
And he's saying they were felling those trees. Then they filled the trees, so that the neighboring person, can get a clear view of the area.
They get them.
They are very much regretting as to why they have been doing that. But they are also because of poverty.
The loggers are taken to the police